Aloha, I'm Kiana Cayabyab, and you're watching Star News Live. Here are today's top Hawaii headlines from the editors at the Honolulu Star-Advertiser. The family of the 16-year-old boy shot and killed by police last month is suing the city and county of Honolulu and the officers involved in the shooting. Family members of I Remember CICAP filed a wrongful death lawsuit today, alleging that Honolulu police officers have been harassing and threatening them. And they say HPD is withholding information about the April 5th incident. CICAP was driving a stolen car that HPD says was involved in a crime spree and a police chase. The chase ended in the Makali area when police officers fired multiple shots into the vehicle as CICAP tried to get away. Hawaii health officials reported 2 new coronavirus-related deaths on Oahu and 61 new statewide confirmed and possible infections today. The latest figures bring the state's total since the start of the pandemic to 494 deaths and 35,726 infections in Hawaii. There were 39 new infection cases today on Oahu, 3 each on Kauai and the Big Island, 1 each on Maui and Molokai, and 14 Hawaii residents diagnosed outside of the state. More than 1.4 million vaccination doses have been administered in Hawaii so far, and over 60% of the population has received at least 1 dose. State officials reported 1 new COVID-19 hospitalization today. At last count, there were 45 COVID patients in Hawaii hospitals, with 4 of them in intensive care units and 3 on ventilators. Governor David Ige is reinstating a rule that requires people to search for work in order to qualify for unemployment benefits. Ige says the change will begin May 30th in a move to help boost employment as the state emerges from the coronavirus pandemic. The requirement to search for at least 3 jobs a week to qualify for unemployment benefits was waived a year ago after the pandemic started devastating Hawaii's economy. But Ige says Hawaii is welcoming more visitors now and more employers are looking to fill positions. Hawaii will join dozens of other states that have either already reimposed the job search requirement or are planning to do so. But Ige also said Hawaii will continue the extra $300 weekly federal unemployment payment known as Plus Up. More than 20 states with Republican governors have dropped the extra jobless aid because they believe it discourages unemployed people from looking for a job. A 27-year-old Mountain View man will spend at least 15 years in prison for fatally shooting another Big Island man in Mountain View last summer. Dwayne C.J. Corey Wallace Jr. was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole for second-degree murder and 10 years in prison for a firearm violation. Wallace will not be eligible for parole until serving a mandatory minimum term of 15 years. On August 25th, Hawaii police responded to a call from North Kulani Street and found 26-year-old Peter Grammer of Mountain View with a gunshot wound to the chest. Grammer was taken to Hilo Medical Center where he was pronounced dead. 3 days later, officers found Wallace at a home in Puna. He tried to run into the forest, but after a brief search, Wallace surrendered to police. He had a loaded shotgun at the time of the arrest. Finally, a research study at the Queens Medical Center is showing promising results in teaching dogs to detect the presence of the coronavirus in people. Tess, a 3-year-old Labrador Retriever, is screening incoming surgery patients at Queens who also receive mandatory PCR tests to determine whether they have COVID-19. Officials with Assistance Dogs of Hawaii say Tess has screened more than 85 human patients in her second week on the job and so far has 100% accuracy rates. 3 Labrador Retrievers and 1 Golden Retriever has been trained to detect the scent of COVID-19 as part of the study. The dogs learned to distinguish the scent of COVID on samples of human sweats collected from a patient's neck. 3 dogs performed extremely well, correctly identifying nearly all the positive samples and correctly ignoring more than 90% of the negative samples. Join Star Events for a virtual career expo on May 26th and May 27th. Job seekers can learn about different companies hiring, initiate private chats with recruiters, and upload resumes confidentially. The event is free to attend. Visit hawaiicareerexpo.com today to register. For more on these stories and all the latest headlines, subscribe to the Honolulu Star-Advertiser. Visit Hawaii's top source for breaking news online at Star-Advertiser.com and download the Star-Advertiser mobile app. Mahalo, have a great weekend, and we'll see you back here on Monday.